Hello, everyone. This is the show Legacy of Leaders, and I'm your host, Jon Heymann. I am very pleased to have one of the most dynamic people I've met recently. His name is Rob Swymer, and his website, you'll see it at the bottom of your screen, robswymer.com. He has written a book called Surrender to Adversity, and I just watched some of his material the other day, and inside where he hand signed this, he's autographed it, it says, "Surrender, but never give up." Great to have you with us today,
Thanks,
Rob.
John. Great to be here.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and why you talk a lot about adversity.
Yeah, so this was a personal journey for me. I had a lot of adversity growing up in my life. I've dealt with addiction, conquered addiction. I'm 31 years sober as I sit before you today. And also depression, suicidal ideation. And I also lost my loved one, my wife of 32 years, to a brain aneurysm about 10 years ago. That was the tipping point, believe it or not. That's when my perspective changed. And I became a student of my game. And I really dived deep into sort of, okay, what's my purpose here? You know, why am I here? What's my why? Mm-hmm. We all know what we do and how we do it, both in business and in personal life. But why do we do it? So this was a journey for me I went on. And when I became a student of my game, I realized that I'm really supposed to give back these lessons that I've learned in my life. So I did. I reflected on my life and I wrote this book. I actually wrote it in lockdown when I was in London working for a company there for a couple of years. Nothing else to do except write a book.
Really.
But I wrote the book in London, and when I reflected on my life, it became very clear that I did three things every time to not just survive, but thrive. And that was what I call now the AAA formula, which I've patented, and now I'm speaking on a global stage about that. And it is about accepting your adversity, first of all, and acknowledging it. You trade in your expectations for acceptance, and everything changes, John.
Trade in your expectations for, how do you say that
Acceptance. Trade in your, it's an amazing thing, because what it does is it changes your mindset. Yeah. And then you appreciate. Believe it or not, I thank my adversity. I wouldn't be the man I am today. In fact, I probably wouldn't even be sitting here with you today if I didn't really appreciate my adversity. And once I do that, I'm in a grateful state. And when I'm in a grateful state, I can't be in fear or anger. The brain can't process that. And then the third A is to assess. I pull back and I assess, and I find out what options I have, and then I move forward with new purpose and new perspective. So I came up with that, and now what I do is I speak on the global stage, and I help executives, and I coach executives really overcome adversity in their personal life, but also take that into the business world and apply those principles even in the business world today, and be very mindful of how they can, I mean, look, there's a lot of adversity in business today. We know that. The world's changing, how we work, how we play. So we have to be mindful of that. So once we do that, we're good.
So how you power through adversity has a lot to do with what you said, finding your why, sort of like Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why.
Yeah, it's a good
I would ask the question, I don't mind asking you this question, what on earth are you doing on the earth? And when you find that answer, the next generation is looking for that, children are looking for that, teachers need to answer that question themselves in front of their students, pastors and those in the religious world need to answer that question for themselves before they can share it with other people.
Right on, John.
Perhaps you would share, what on earth are you doing on the earth?
Yeah, I love that question, and I every day I start my day with exactly what my why is, and I live in a state of gratitude, and I make sure I do that, and I start my day like that. It puts me in a foundation of good mental health, and that's the way it should be. My why is about serving others. My why is about giving back. I would be remiss if I didn't take those lessons I learned both in my 4-decade career as in sales and sales leadership in high tech, but also the lessons I've learned of going through my life. So my why is to serve others, to give back, and to be a servant leader.
You've been very transparent today about your why, but also about your past, your sobriety, depression, suicidal ideation. That's tough to share sometimes, because most people, most executives do not want to be vulnerable. Do you find that becomes a guarded danger almost in their life?
Absolutely, and what I teach executives, I do a very exclusive executive coaching, and what I teach is the mindset. I teach the what they focus on, what we all focus on, the language that we use, and the physiology that we show up with. But I have a saying that I tell everybody whenever I'm on stage or whenever I'm talking to somebody. I make sure I say this: there is no growth without vulnerability. I truly believe that because I lived it.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor, John. I'm a regular guy that went through his share of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's my responsibility now to serve others and to give back those lessons. So I'm doing that with the book, but I'm also doing that on the stage, on the global stage. I do that for company kickoffs. I do that for mental health conferences where I can at least share my experience, my strength, and my hope with others.
That's fantastic, fantastic. Well, Rob, I enjoy, I'm going to keep this book.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it, hopefully get an awful lot out of it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you have enjoyed this interview today, please take a look at Rob's website, which is robswymer.com. You'll see it at the bottom of your screen. And you'll also see this interview on dailynewsnetwork.com. Thank you, Rob, for being with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day.